let's look ahead to Friday in the NBA. Injury updates, streaming options, stream of the day, what's on my radar. I think you know how it goes by now. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen? I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at LockedOnFantasyBasketball. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code, all lowercase, LockedOnNBA, for a first deposit match up to $100. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. Go ahead and click the subscribe if you haven't. We are flying up. Maybe we will hit 100,000 this year. I don't think so, but I do hope so. So if you can hit that subscribe over there on the old YouTube, that would be great. We are here to talk about the action for Friday, December the 15th. It is a relatively busy day without being an insanely busy day. It is an 8-game Friday, which we usually get busier Fridays than that. We've had some 11s and 12s and all that sort of stuff. 8 is a perfectly manageable day, which we love, things being perfectly manageable. So let's give some injury updates as always. As I'm recording this, there's always news that trickles through, so some of these graphics are going to be out of date, but that's just the game that we play here, isn't it? Jalen Smith sticks. He is out in Indiana. Still for another week or so with his, with his knees, his heel contusion. DeLon Wright is out or remains out for the Wizards. Landry Shamet joins him there as well. LaMelo Ball remains out. Wendell Carter remains out. Gabe Vincent is out. Jalen Johnson remains out. Ja Morant, Marcus Smart, and the Duck Luke Kennard are all currently out for the Grizzlies. Mitchie Robinson, of course, is out for the Knicks. Jalen Duren is out for the Pistons, and Marvin Bagley has now been ruled out again, so we don't have to worry about that foolishness of having Bagley maybe cut into Asar Thompson. So we do know that Marvin Bagley is out. I am listing Al Horford as doubtful. It is a back-to-back. The Celtics play Thursday. I was going to just say that Al Horford's out. He hasn't played a back-to-back in 2 years, and I'm pretty sure he won't play on Friday. But I'm just going to be safe and put him as doubtful. Mark Williams has also been changed from questionable to doubtful, so he's not likely to play for the Hornets. In terms of Paul Washington Jr., I'm just going to check if there was any updates on Paul. Where are the Hornets? He's officially questionable. Now, Paul, Zion Williamson is officially questionable as well. Jaylen Brown was questionable to play, or he is questionable to play for the game on Thursday with an ankle issue, so I'm going to list him questionable for Friday's action as well. If he misses Thursday, you would think that there is a chance he miss. Actually, there's a chance to miss Friday anyway, because he might play Thursday, sit out the back-to-back. Who knows? Anyway, Jaylen Brown's questionable. Landry Shamet has been ruled out. He is the most nondescript player in the NBA. I wouldn't get it wrong, but if you were going to play a who we play for game with me, he'd probably be the one I go, Landry Shamet? But I do know where we play. There's some weird signings. David Duke got re-signed by the Spurs today. There you go. The old Duke legend is back with San Antonio. They waived Serge Ibaka Rice. Shout out to royalty. He's gone. Some weird moves like Drew Peterson signed with the Celtics. Nathan Knight was waived there. Teams making moves on the margins. I am listing big fella Kristaps Porzingis as questionable. He is probable for Thursday, but the fact that he's probable for Thursday with the calf being tight, he's missed time with this calf injury, and it is a back-to-back, I think there has to be a risk that he doesn't play. Markelle Fultz is officially questionable, so we might be getting his return, and then we'll get more of an idea of what happens. It will just probably move Anthony Black out of the rotation, drop a little bit of Gaz Harris, and maybe impact Cole Anthony. I think Suggs is sort of safe. Fultz, in terms of whether he is an add or not, I mean, sure, it would depend on who I'm adding. I do feel really comfortable that he will start rest of season, but his production wasn't super strong before he got hurt anyway. But he is, like, when we're talking about, like, do we add Podziemski? Do we look at Moses Moody? Look, we don't think they're going to start, and they're not guaranteed to get starters minutes, whereas Fultz probably is guaranteed to start and get starters minutes. It's not as sexy, it's not as exciting. He's coming off an injury, but he's probably more of a priority in that scenario. LeBron, I'm going to list as questionable at this point. I'm very, very certain he will play, but I'm also 100% certain he will be listed as questionable. He missed the last game on the back-to-back. They list him questionable every game at the moment, which is, it happens. And I know people love that. Oh, it's not fair. That's why you don't have IL+. It's a hack. Is it? It's just something that happens and you can just use it and you can do it with literally any player. Should they try to do something about it? Maybe, but whatever. There are ways to combat that very, very comfortably in Yahoo, and it doesn't create that much of a problem. It is way better than having the IL-only slot where guys aren't eligible, and it creates a way higher level of unfairness. DeAndre Hunter is officially questionable. He missed the last couple of games. That really enabled Onyeka Okongwu to step up and play big minutes next to Capella. AJ Griffin's questionable for personal reasons. I believe he is officially questionable. He's actually out. So hopefully everything's okay with him. And DeAndre Hunter is officially questionable. Des Bane, we don't have an update on him. He missed the last game with an illness. I would guess he's going to be okay Friday, but I'm not sure. And Amen Thompson also missed the last game with an illness for the Rockets. And then we have the three Suns guys, Grayson Allen, Eric Gordon, and Josh Okogie, not the three big names. So while we got the three big guys back last time, we don't know what happens on the periphery because they were starting bloody Nasir Little in one half and Chimezie Metu was playing. It was all over the place still. So does Allen start? Does Gordon start? Does Okogie start? I honestly don't know. There's one starting spot up for grabs. I think it's going to be cycled through a bit. And if you are looking to make waiver decisions and you go, well, I want to take a flyer on Colin Sexton, Taylor Horton-Tucker because we got word on Keontae George's injury, it's not bad. Which is sort of what we heard yesterday. Colin Sexton said, yeah, look, it's pretty good news. And there were some doomsayers, some Jazz reporters saying, hey, they won't release the results of the x-ray. That's really bad news. Wasn't. It looks like he's just got some soreness. Doesn't look like anything actually appeared on those scans. We hope that's actually true. And he's going to miss at least 2 games, but nothing long-term. So we can slot him into injured. And then hopefully it's not a long-term thing. But what I was saying, if you wanted to take a crack at a Taylor Horton-Tucker or a Colin Sexton for short-term and it meant dropping Allen, Gordon, or Okogie, Okogie, who cares? That's very deep league stuff. But Allen or Gordon, I mean, sure, go for it. I don't think it's going to break the bank. I don't think it's going to kill anything in terms of overall value for the season because with those big 3 there, Gordon and Allen's value does drop. Today's episode is brought to you by the big fella, Dave. Dave would have been very useful for many of us when we get hit with unexpected money issues. Like, for example, I don't know, hypothetically, what if your balcony fell and smashed the roof of your car? And then you had to get your balcony repaired as well as your car. Just hypothetically, Dave can give you the extra cash. They can get that in there. Expensive parking tickets, unexpected vet bills, like when Obi swallowed a sewing needle. That was a great one as well. What a great moment that was. Dave is the banking app that levels the financial playing field. When you download Dave, you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. It's part of Dave's extra cash account. Advance the money you need with no interest and then settle up later. You can even build credit when you settle up on time. So if you're in a pinch, get the help that you need by downloading Dave. Download Dave today at dave.com/lockedonnba. That is dave.com/lockedonnba. You can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. Download the Dave app now. And go to dave.com/lockedonnba. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. That's a lot of dave.com references. Eligibility criteria and instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve, member of the FDIC. Dave is really giving like Charlotte Bobcats energy there. Why have we named the company Dave? Is the guy's name Dave that owned it? Was he named David? Is that an acronym for something? I don't know. Anyway, it's Dave. Yeah, there you go. The big fella Dave. We're going to go under the lens. I didn't even tell you who we're taking under the lens, but we're getting buzzy. We're going to Charlotte. We're going to the CLT Kings. Now we're looking at the big fella Terry Rozier because this has been an unfathomable run from Rozier. Look at what he's been doing. Over the last week, this man is the 6th ranked player for category leagues. In points leagues, he is the 12th ranked player, casually dropping 50 points a game. He is shooting 63% on his threes. He's actually at 51% over the last 6 games and 48% since he returned from injury. They are insane numbers. Last season, Terry Rozier averaged 5.1 assists per game. And a large chunk of those games, nearly all of them, was without LaMelo Ball. This season, last 3 games, he's gone, let's fire up. 11 assists. There's just no way that this can hold. He is dominating. The last 6 games, 13, 7, 7, 13, 13, 7. Maybe he likes those 2 numbers. I don't know. There's just no way that this shit can hold for Rozier. There are so many things there. The 3-point shooting, no chance. The assists, no chance. He's also doubling this up and hitting his 2s at 55%, which I guess could hold, but that's also career best. He's at 93 from the line. Also, guess what? Career best. He hit 81 last season. What else is happening that Rozier is doing just to completely torment us? Well, only 2.3 rebounds. That's really bad. But 5 threes a game. That's Kobe White territory. 39 minutes a game. That's insane. And if we go a little bit deeper into the advanced stuff, look at his offensive load. He's 94th percentile in the NBA in offensive load. What's offensive load show you? It shows you assists, turnovers, free throw attempts, field goal attempts, box creation, which is an estimate of how many open shots you're creating for teammates. So it's how many shots you're creating for the teammates, plus assists that go in, plus or assists with shots that go in, plus shots and turnovers, everything. What are you doing? 94th percentile. This is a career best. The offensive load rating is 49.7. That number might not mean much to you, but that's what it is. It's 49.7. His best career number ever prior to that was last season at 44, and then prior to that, he'd never been over 40. So he is rolling, and that number is way up of late as well. He's putting career high free throw attempt rate. He's at insane shooting numbers. His passer rating is pretty strong, but it's also not the best passing season of his career. This is the biggest sell high probably of all time. I don't know how possible that is. He's basically a top 25 guy for the season because most of his games have come without LaMelo Ball again. He's just dominating. If you can get a top 30 player for Rozier, no questions asked, I'd do it. This is just an insane run that shows the weird stuff that can happen with efficiency and outlier statistics. His last 3 games, 28 points, 5 threes, 11 assists, 59 from the field, and 93 from the line on 5 attempts. It's not going to hold. One of the biggest hot streaks of all time. I don't even need to stake anything on this because this is just very clearly going to fall. But some people do not look into how it comes. They don't look at the 3-point shooting, the 2-point shooting, the free throw shooting, the free throw attempt rate, the assist rate, the load, the career highs, all that stuff. Why it's happening, why the minutes so high. You might cop a hit early on. You might drop him and he drops another 30 and 11 game next game. Not drop him, you might trade him and then you go, cool. But when we get back to it later on, he might be a 21-point player with 4.5 assists, shooting 46 from the field. So, write it out. Enjoy it. But if you get a top 25 back, you don't wait a single second before you get in there and hit that button. All right. That is our Under the Lens. It is on Terry Rozier with just a million unsustainable things. Who's got a back-to-back Friday, Saturday? There are 6 different teams. Your your Atlanta Hawks, your Charlotte Hornets, the Detroit Pistons, the Pacers, the Knicks, and the Sixers all have the Friday, Saturday back-to-back. Who are we at risk of resting there? Hawks, nobody. Hornets, nobody. Pistons, nobody. Pacers, nobody. Knicks, absolutely nobody. Sixers, maybe Embiid. But otherwise, we're relatively clean on the Friday, Saturday back-to-back. Thursday, Friday is only Celtics, and that's the Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis and maybe Jaylen Brown. In terms of streams of the day, for 10-team there, I do have Saddiq Bey, but I did create this, and in the middle, the Nick Richards, Mark Williams news dropped. I would probably put Richards ahead of Bey as the top stream there, but Bey is totally fine as a 10-team streamer. As a 12-team category streamer, it is Tari this season. I honestly don't know what they're going to do. I have some real worries about, does Jalen Green stay at only 25 minutes? Because if he doesn't, Easton getting 27 will be harder. And I do have some worries about it. But we're streaming him in. 14-team, we're going to Indiana. We're going to Aaron Nesmith. 16-team, it's Dante DiVincenzo, the big ragu. He's still available in 90% plus of leagues. He was great last game. I don't expect that to always happen, but he was really good. And that's intriguing enough for deep leagues. A starter and a 16-teamer available in 90% plus. We've got to go that way. Yahoo points, I am going with Jeremy Sohan. Yes, he can have inefficient nights, but he's playing 33 a night. That's good enough for me to have a crack, but you could throw Eason in there. They're very close, or even Big Dick Nick. And then for ESPN points, it is probably Goga Badadze. His efficiency and the block numbers, which are valued more higher over on ESPN, and Wendell Carter is out. That pushes him a little bit into that discussion. Let's go through the 8 games. The first one is the Detroit Pistons and the Philadelphia 76ers. What the hell are they going to do with Jaden Ivey? Something incorrect, I'm sure. I am not in the situation where we necessarily need to hold onto Jaden Ivey. I do somewhat believe that he's going to be better as the season goes on, but this up and down, it's so hard to deal with it. Get that garbage out of here! Thanks, Jack. Oh, yeah. It's good to have him back. For the Sixers, D'Anthony Melton hasn't really been impacted by Kelly Oubre, but we're going to probably... I don't know if we're going to find out anything in this game because it's probably going to be another absolute ass-kicking, and we're not going to see full minutes distributions and weird rotations because Nick Nurse doesn't have to care. In terms of streams, Killian Hayes probably is the stream in Detroit. Ivy would be another consideration there. If you want to go deeper, you look at Jimmy Wiseman with Bagley out. Nico Batum in Philadelphia, but that's only really deeper league sort of stuff. Indiana, Washington, another game that could be just like that Washington defense. The Pacers might drop 180. That could be very disgusting. Miles Turner's minutes are up. He's playing like 31 a night for 4 or 5 consecutive games. And early in the season, we're a little bit frustrated. Is that because, I guess you could postulate it 2 ways. Well, actually, you can only postulate it 1 way. It's that Rick Carlisle actually likes what Jalen Smith does and was deliberately keeping Turner's minutes low so he could play Smith, and now he doesn't like Jackson as much, so he's playing Turner more. I don't know how else I read that. So let's watch what Turner does, and let's for the Wizards. Like I don't want to watch Jordan Poole anymore. I'm done with this asshole. I want to watch Tyus Jones, but because I'm pretty much done with him as well. But I'm making a sort of not a final determination, but we're getting really close about whether we need to hold because it doesn't feel good. I feel like he is way more likely to be traded than Jordan Poole, and that would almost definitely be into somehow a worse situation. So yeah, I'm not that interested in Tyus. In terms of streams, Neesmith is the guy in Indiana, and then Bilal Coulibaly in Washington is getting like 30 minutes a night at the moment. Really good the last game. Don't mind adding him. Just, again, sometimes we try and get 1, 2, 3 days ahead or a week ahead of the trend, and that's sort of where we're headed at with Bilal at the moment. The Pelicans. The Hornets, Zion is questionable. CJ's always someone I want to watch because, as you're well aware, I was down on him in the preseason. I wasn't sure how he would work usage-wise as a third usage option, but there's been a lot of games where he's getting more usage than Zion. Is that real? I honestly, I just feel that for this team to be super successful, it needs to be Ingram and Zion with the ball more and CJ doing more spot-up stuff. His defensive stuff has started to come down, which is expected, but it's more about where the McCollum minutes sit and usage sits with Zion and Ingram. Now, we won't get an answer if Zion doesn't play, but just another data point there. Well, for the Hornets, Brandon Miller is continuing to be a 12-team league guy, but it is just very much due to him playing 39 minutes a night or 38 minutes a night with ball out. And when ball gets back in, I don't really see how Miller is going to maintain 12 value. For streams, Dyson Daniels is sort of getting these minutes again, a little bit over Jose Alvarado, especially if Zion is out. We do look to Dyson. And then for Hornets, that sounds so bad. That sounds like when, I don't know, I'm old, right? When you hear kids talk and they're talking about teams and they don't call them the Hornets. It's like, hey, what are you doing? You go Hornets? The Hornets? Like, I don't know. Anyway, complete side rant. Big Dick Nick is the guy that we stream for Hornets. What are we looking at next? It is the Orlando Magic. The Boston Celtics. Jalen Suggsy Suggs. I do believe he's a 12-team category must-roster player. In a points league, I don't think he is. And I don't actually think that Markelle Fultz is going to impact him. The problem with Suggs is he goes so balls out every game, is he just can't really do more than 28 a night. And they're still going to give Harris minutes and Anthony minutes. So, yeah, I do just want to see... I don't believe there'll be an impact of Fultz. Fultz? That's not the right word. Fultz. I don't know that there's going to be an impact from Markelle on him, but I don't know. We're always trying to gather more information. That's my expectation. So let's watch it and see what happens. Drew Holiday for the Celtics. Again, just what do they use? Is there any consistency in usage, ball handling, time on ball, all that sort of stuff? So far, I've found none of it. And Drew's been mid. In terms of streams, Goga there is for Orlando. Looks pretty good. Mo Wagner behind him. And then Slam and Sammy Hauser with the expected absence of Horford and the possible absence of Porzingis. Slam and Sammy might start. He'll play 26. He might have 15 points with 5 threes. Or he might start and go 0 of 9 for 2 points. We've seen him struggle in some starts previously, which is, of course, frustrating. Today's episode is also brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It's also the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. You, V, numbers. That's a title match if I've ever seen it. You don't have to worry about salary caps or Sharks, pros, spreadsheets, algorithms. They just put up a number, a stat, whether it's a points or a rebounds, or in football it's touchdowns, receptions, and you just go more or less. How easy. You can do these entries in under 60 seconds. You do between 2 to 6 of them into one entry, and you can win up to 25 times your money back. And for those of you without a calculator handy, that means if you put $10 in, that could turn into $250. That's how we add things up. So when you go to test your skill on PrizePicks for basketball season, you can easily turn that 10 into 250 with 6 of those correct more or less projections or predictions. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA, and you can get yourself a first deposit match up to $100. That is prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. The code is LockedOnNBA, and you get a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Saw some guy in the live chat yesterday when I was doing this. Go, hey, you know Josh is always sort of looking to the left or the right. He's got a lot going on. Yeah, because I've got the camera straight down the middle, straight down the barrel here, and then I've got my screens with all my information on it. I've got producing the show on one screen. I've got ad reads, scripts, and timers and all that sort of stuff on the other screen, and then all the stats and data. I wish I could somehow have Minority Report like transparent screens in front of me, like heads-up displays that the camera could go through, but I can't. And I am running with a better camera than a standard webcam that sits up there. Maybe I do need to find a better way of doing it, but that's why I look to the side, because that's where my monitors are. And you can actually see that when we go out to the wide shot there, you can see where the two screens sit. But anyway, I'm sure most people don't care about that. But if you do care, hit subscribe, hit thumbs up. We're over here on the old YouTube. We love being here. All right, let's go through to the next game. We've done Orlando, Boston. The next one we look at is the Lakers and the Spurs, a rematch of last game. I imagine that LeBron returns here. And prior to LeBron being out last game, D'Angelo Russell's minutes had sunk. They were well down. He was playing under 30 for about 4 or 5 consecutive games. Last game, they stepped up. I want to see what Russell does when LeBron plays. Again, because we get into the stage where he becomes droppable. In 8-teamers, yeah. I don't know why I mentioned 8-teamers, but in 8-teamers, yeah. In 10s, maybe. And then for the Spurs, a guy that is really struggling at the moment is Devin Vassell. Absolutely do not drop Devin Vassell. I've heard people saying that they dropped Devin Vassell. That's silly to me. But he's a huge buy low at the moment. He's struggling with his shooting numbers. There's a lot not happening, and I think he's way better than this. In terms of streams, Cam Reddish remains that guy for the Lakers, but it's it's threes and steals. Taurean Prince has actually been red hot as well. I don't trust that man's consistency as far as I could throw it, which is a hard thing to do because you can't throw a non-tangible item like consistency. It's highlighting how much I don't trust it. But there are other guys there. Maybe it's Vanderbilt Bar, maybe it's Hachimura. There's just a bunch of interesting or, depending on your perspective, non-interesting players for the Lakers you could stream. For the Spurs, it is probably Sohan, a 33-minute-a-night starter who's obviously not very good at the moment. But that's at least streamable or into streamable considerations. For deeper leagues, again, another starter there would be Malachi Branham. He can be a little bit empty with his production. The next one we look at is the Atlanta Hawks taking on the Toronto Raptors. Last game, Onyeka Okongwu played almost 30 minutes, including an absolute ton next to Capella. Will they do it more? Now, if DeAndre Hunter is out, they basically have no other choice. Quinn Snyder does not trust Bruno Fernando. Cool, he's not Steven Silas. There's not many other options he can go to. There's no Jalen Johnson, no DeAndre Hunter. Then it's just Bay. That's all he's got. But what I am more interested in is Okongwu doing more things. Not minutes, because the minutes have actually been okay. Can you block more shots? Can you hit more threes? Can you score more rebounds? And we got that last game. He's available in like 38% of leagues, Onyeka Okongwu. I think you grab him in all category leagues. In fact, someone dropped him in industry pickup. I tried to bid on him. Well, I did bid on him, but I got smashed. I think B-Dub dropped like $170 out of a $1,000 budget to get him. So I wish I'd have got him there. For the Raptors, it is Pascal Siakam, who shot 83% from 3 last game. We talked about him in the Buy Low show 2 weeks ago, or 1 week ago actually, saying that, look, I know we can rag on what he's done, but the usage is back. It's just that he can't shoot anymore. And it came back. So let's see where the usage sits and the shooting and the normalization there. In terms of streams for Atlanta, don't worry. I just put a name there, but it was Wes Matthews. We're not streaming Wes Matthews. Don't worry about it. And I think Precious Achiuwa has probably overtaken Gary Trent as the streaming option on the Raptors. It's still just for deeper leagues, but I think he's taken over. Houston, Memphis. Didn't we just have this game? I feel like all of these games we just had. Philadelphia, Detroit, we had, yes. We had Lakers, Spurs, and now Houston, Memphis. What? That's weird. These games all happen on Wednesday. Regardless, let's look at Jalen Green. What are we doing with Jalen Green? because he's been bad. 25 minutes or under the last 2 games. His numbers and role directly impacts what we do with Tari Eason, I think, and what we do with Jalen Green. I popped him on the droppable list the other day. Get that garbage out of here. So I think in category leagues you can. In points leagues, by all means, hold. But if he's getting 25 a night, then he's not even a hold there. For the Grizzlies, Santi Aldama, the production for him has been dreadful. Started, then moved to the bench, and Biyombo came back. There's no consistency in anything they do. Tillman got DNP'd. I just don't know how to look at what Aldama gives. I have no interest. He's rostered in way too many leagues, Santi. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, but so far he's proven me right. For streams, it is obviously Tari this season. He should be grabbed everywhere, even if I have a level of skepticism at his overall minutes upside. And then for the Grizzlies, it's probably Derrick Rose. I didn't even talk about Derrick Rose on Wednesday. I should have. He played 30 minutes and was great. But how much are we going to trade? How much are we going to treat that as real? Because Derrick Rose, rightfully so, has been on washed watch. Because he was washed. He got taken out of the rotation by his dad, Tom Thibodeau, last season. He was bad. And even in Memphis, he's been bad apart from that last game. I guess you can stream him, but I don't feel super confident with it. The Knicks and the Suns, speaking of Tom Thibodeau, the big ragu, Dante DiVincenzo, went off last game. Remember the 2 games prior to that? He did nothing. I think he had 4 usage and 7 usage. But he did have 5 assists in that second game. So that's interesting. How they still utilize him, Quickly, Hart, Grimes, Barrett remains a constant mystery. Last game, Barrett stunk. Quickly played under 20 minutes and Grimes dropped down to 16. The game before, Grimes went off, DiVincenzo's minutes were down, and Quickly was out. It's all over the place. It's very hard to pin down and work out what they're going to do. But Dante's at least interesting as a starter. For the Suns, it's about watching Bradley Beal. Does he just hold on to the Kevin Love, Chris Bosh role of the third player who's a 20 usage guy instead of a 28, 30 guy that he was in Washington? He is not the Washington guy in the past. He's also not the point guard that Shams Charania told us that he would be, and I very quickly told you that Shams is wrong. He's just, I fear, he's going to be better than what he's been so far. And the fact that he played 33 minutes on the back-to-back is encouraging. If I could get any top 70 player for Beal at the moment in a trade, I probably would do it. Because I just don't have confidence in his back. But it's more about, does he actually impact Durant and Booker in their usage? Or is he just going to be a 22 usage player? Sort of a worse Chris Middleton. I think that's possible. Streams. Isaiah Hartenstein, 30 minutes last game. I don't expect that Taj Gibson cuts in. But we'll see. Will Thibodeau run a 3-center rotation? Seems very unlikely. Sims' minutes went down. Hartenstein's went up last game. It wasn't a great game from Isaiah, but I do still think he belongs on 12-team rosters. And then the Sun stream, I don't know, man. Nasir Little, but it would definitely be Gordon or Allen if they played, but they could all be out. So Nasir Little started the last game, so I've got a little bit more faith there just with the uncertainty surrounding those other players. 2 for 1, so we're looking Friday, Saturday. We've got 6 back-to-backs on. Saturday does have 11 games or 10 games. I think it's got 10 games on it. So it's sort of streaming, but sort of not. So have a look whether it makes sense to get these guys with their back-to-back ability. Obviously, we're really looking at... I've got Golden State Warriors there. That's wrong. Don't know what that list is, so I apologize. I'm going to take it off because I don't have actually time to go back and redo the graphics. We're running out of time here for the day and what I've got to do there. But look, I don't know what that list was. That was completely wrong. In terms of the 2 for 1 guys that we can look at who are available, Nick Batum's got 2 games for the Sixers. DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Timothy John McConnell with 2 games for the Pacers. We're looking at Isaiah Jackson with 2 games as well. And then you go to like a Pat Beverly, a Jericho Sims, or Paul Reed. So it did look like it was better. I don't know what. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing again. Things are all over the shop here. What's going on with this site that I'm looking at? Not the site, with my graphics that I produced. Let's try that again. All right. Now I think we're good. Apologies for all of that. Some guys for the Friday, Saturday back-to-back. Nick Richards, the number 1 guy that we're looking at there. Isaiah Hartenstein with 2 games. Nick Batum with 2 games. Aaron Nesmith with 2 games. Killian Hayes with 2 games. Jaden Ivey and Dante DiVincenzo. There you go. God, that was a bad segment. That's like probably the worst segment I've done all season, I reckon. Again, apologies about that. I think what I had was the Saturday, Sunday back-to-back 2 for 1 streams there. So I do apologize. But let's now look at the chunks, we're talking Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So streamable days in that 5-day chunk are Friday, Sunday, and Tuesday. Saturday and Monday are higher volume days. So who can we look at? Well, the Spurs, the Suns, the Celtics all have 3 quality games across that 5-game stretch. So while Jeremy Sohan's not super appealing, nor maybe Malachi Branham, you get 3 games out of them in a 5-day period. Maybe that will give you some level of urge or level of reason to even hold a Zach Collins through that period too. Drew Eubanks and the Suns. So Eubanks, Grayson Allen, Eric Gordon. Maybe it's Nasir Little if those guys are out. There's a little bit of value there. Just getting some extra quality games in. And then the Celtics, of course, with the... we know that there is Sam Howes is going to have a big opportunity on Friday, and then 2 more games for the Celtics there. So a strong stream. And then there are 2 guys who actually still look really good despite only 2 games, and that is Dario Saric with the Golden State Warriors and Tari Eason with the Rockets. Eason could have some issues with that leg that has cropped up with the back-to-backs, if there's any in there. So just be aware of that. But they are some options to look for the next 5 days. That is Friday through to Tuesday with 3 streaming days in that mix. The 10-team streams for the action on Friday. Big Dick Nick sits at the top there alongside Saddiq Bey, Cole Anthony, Brandon Miller, Onyeka Okongwu, and Jalen Suggs. These are all 65% rostered or lower. Again, if they're in your 12s and we cascade through those ones. The next bunch of guys where we're looking at 40% rostered or below, Goga Badadze, Tari Eason, Hartenstein, who somehow snuck in there with 45%. Apologies there. Sohan at 34, Aaron Neesmith at 11, and Nick Batum at 6%. And then deeper leagues, we're going 20% or below. We've got Bilal Koulibaly, who comes in at 18 still. DiVincenzo at 8. Achua at 6. Slam and Sammy Hauser, Timothy John McConnell, and Flaming Mo Wagner. Lastly, we go to points league streams for Friday, 45% below or below. That's Nick Richards up the top. Sohan, Eason, Badadze, Hartenstein, and Precious Achua, the big sneeze. Guys, that will do it for me today. Don't forget, if you are here over on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, and leave your comments down below on audio. Just follow it if you're not already. And check out the video version as well over on YouTube. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.